Hello, today I wanted to do something different on this channel. Primarily I do knife videos, but today I wanted to change it up and do something that I do not get into much on this channel. I'm wanting to make a firearm video discussing carrying the most underrated and humble of all calibers, the 22 long rifle for self-defense. I've asked many people their opinions and experiences with carrying the 22 LR handgun or pocket pistol. Almost all of it was negative for many reasons. You can guess why. I wanted to just try and highlight some of the points of why you could carry it and my reason for doing so. If you enjoy this change of pace on this video, let me know and I will continue to do this type of content. This video will be broken down to several parts. Part uno will be my journey and how I got here doing this video and carrying a 22 or a deuce. Part dos will be why I chose this specific firearm I carry chambered in 22. Part tres will be statistics and history, and part quattro will be the final conclusion. So without further delay, let us get into it. The 22 pocket pistol is something I have been fascinated with for many years. I remember seeing tons of mouse guns when I was a kid, so this may have sparked my interest in these types of firearms, especially in 2022. During my concealed carry journey, I have acquired and carried several firearms in my decade of carrying a firearm. The first firearm I carried was my father's Taurus PT-92 chambered in 9mm. I carried this firearm for three reasons. It was the only handgun I had access to since it was passed down to me and I inherited it after my father passed away. I wanted a big bad piece that could get me out of a firefight. My logic was I had already messed up if I ended up in a firefight, so I wanted the biggest baddest gun I could get my hands on, and since I could not reasonably carry a shotgun or rifle with me, the PT-92 was my ticket, and the third reason was, and I am still a 9mm fanboy. My father always said a few different things that I think hold merit. One of the things my dad used to say is emptying a mag from a pocket pistol into somebody will ruin anyone's day. My dad bought and sold so many firearms over his life, including large bore revolvers and tiny Beretta mouse guns. My dad was a huge firearms enthusiast, and I wish I could have all of the firearms that he had owned in his life. He had an interesting collection prior to him passing, which I now have. Unfortunately, no Beretta Jetfire or Beretta 22. He also had been there and done that as a combat veteran. He taught me a lot of things and how to think and improvise, although in his youth he carried a revolver and .44 Magnum. Prior to him passing away, he carried a 9mm double-stack handgun, the PT-92 of course. He favored capacity and follow-up shots. After a year or so of carrying my father's handgun, I ended up buying a blast from the past, or a modern classic, a Browning BDM chambered in, you guessed it, 9mm. I carried this for years and still do when I want a full-size handgun. The BDM is the only firearm I can go a little bit without shooting and still accurate with it. I have tons of rounds through this firearm. When I got the BDM, it wasn't just because I was hooked on 9mm. I actually wanted a Makarov chambered in 9x18. However, at the time, they were starting to get hard to find, and I bought the BDM in spite of the employee at the gun store. I had asked if they had any Makarov or Soviet pistols at all, and the employee laughed and insulted me for wanting a far less superior gun than a Glock 19. He went on to state that he would not trust his life to anything less than 9mm. At this point, I am thinking there are plenty of dead people killed by lesser calibers. As I call him a kid in this story, he was the same age as me. However, the kid and I did not see eye to eye, obviously, so I asked about a Ruger SR9 because it was slim, and as we do in the gun community, we have our favorites. And if it's not what we swear by, we insult what we don't like and fap to what we like. So finally, an older employee understood and spoke my language of a slim, full-size 9mm handgun, and it is still my life's companion as far as firearms go. It is still my bedside weapon, and I do carry it in the winter or if I'm going to a bad area. Eventually, I decided I needed a pocket pistol for work carry. Where I worked at the time, I was doing retail. I could not carry a large firearm not against the law, just policy. I went to my local gun store, and if you know me in this channel, you know I do stupid things. Of course, by stupid things, I'm basically a hipster, and I am very much a contrary conformist. I enjoy doing things or buying things that are just uncool or not popular. Obviously, with this video, you can see that. So this local gun store I went to is very old school, very Western. So the focus on cowboy action style revolvers, 1911s. The owner has to deal with a lot of idiots, so he is very off-putting. Definitely my kind of store, right? So I asked what kind of pocket pistols he has, and I handle a ton of firearms such as the Kel-Tec, the Taurus PT-92, the Beretta Bobcats in 32, the 22 long rifle Derringers, all sorts of calibers for those Derringers, and also snub-nose revolvers, etc. I stupidly decided my pocket pistol would be the Derringer, and you guessed it, 9mm. A dumb purchase. The owner even asked me why I said 9mm punches big holes in bad guys, right? As he said, it's not the caliber, it's the shot placement. That's something my dad used to say as well. Anyways, he then proceeded to want to show me the Taurus PT-22 again, and I said no thank you. I was happy with my 2 shots of 9mm. He then said to me that he would not be pushing this firearm if he did not believe in it. He pulled one from his pocket and said that not only does he carry this, but his wife and his daughter do too. I thought it was a little neat gun. I had a blast shooting the Beretta Jetfire when I was a kid, but I decided no, 9mm all the way. I then regret the decision to buy the PT-22. My next gun purchase was from the same store, and again, the same conversation. However, I did leave with my pride and joy, a Taurus Model 85 Protector Poly Zombie Limited Edition chambered in .38 Special, and that's rated for +P. I thought to myself, how cool, a zombie revolver. In reality, it was just another dumb purchase. Does anybody want a zombie revolver? It is pretty much a joke at this point. I tell my friends and coworkers all the time. I did and do carry this firearm from time to time. I pocket carried it while it is bulky because of the polymer frame. When I ended up working security, I got away with pocket carrying the Derringer during the summer and carrying the revolver in my jacket pocket or in the lunchbox. After we downsized to 1 security personnel on shift, I carried this guy in my pocket full time. In wintertime, I carried my BDM on my hip and then kept the revolver in my pocket or at home for my wife. So not too much time after I got the Protector Poly, I had a friend selling a classic Saturday Night Special. You know, the one that nobody wants to admit touching, the Davis P380 chambered in .380, of course. He was selling it for $60. What a steal. So I told him, look, I want to buy it because it's stupid. I only had $20 at the time, so my wife liked the way it looked because I showed her a picture, and she proceeded to say, buy it, here's $40. We ended up agreeing that it was going to be my wife's. I just wanted to have it in the collection for its historical value. We have never fired it and never carried it. Was only bought for the fact of just owning it. These guns were everywhere when I was a kid. Pawn shops, gun stores, outdoor stores, closets, pockets, and even kitchen drawers. I remember being exposed to a lot of mouse guns when I was a kid, like the Raven Arms chambered in .25 Auto. Unless stated earlier, I'm going to a bad area or it's winter. I found myself in need of something that does not hold 2 shots of 9mm and that doesn't keyhole, or a gun that's just not a zombie gun. I do enjoy carrying my revolver. As much as I hate it, I do like it. However, I much more enjoy older firearms, and I think I'd rather own more classic or older firearms. And I went back to thinking pocket pistol. I dug deep and conducted some research, and I found all sorts of facts as well as just as much FUD lore, both against and in favor of the .22 long rifle. So here I am now with a .22 pocket pistol. This one is a Walther PPS, like I stated before. Those who know me know I buy and do dumb things. I'm invested now in the ways of the .22 pocket pistol. Well, this one is a bit large for a pocket carry. I have went too long without a fat joke in this video, so here it is. I'm fat. I have big pockets. It's now a pocket pistol. A lot of people say I overpaid for the Walther, however, I believe the price was right. I got it during spring of 2020 for $400 with 2 magazines. Walther only ships you with 1 magazine. The price is very good and did not reflect the current pricing consideration. At the time I got the firearm, I was able to easily get it. That's with tax out the door shipped. I bought it from Marksman Shooting Sports. Chris, the owner, runs a YouTube channel, and I wanted to support his store. I am a huge fan of his, and he has a video series called Used Guns of the Week, which is what I look forward to most each week. Chris is a cool guy and offers very fair pricing. He did not price hike his firearms like most dealers, just priced slightly higher than normal, unlike everybody else who charged nearly double for firearms. So I made the drive from northwest Indiana down to the center of Indiana. I wanted an original PPK, however the price is nearly double for the .380 ACP at $700. A .32 ACP is around $600. Ammunition is hard to find for 32 ACP, and with my budget, at the time to buy is immediately. When I have the funds, if I sit, the funds will dry up. When I purchased this firearm from the store, it's obviously during the COVID-19 panic. I was glad that I was able to find the firearm I wanted online and at a good price. Yes, and I always have been a fan of the police pistol or PP series pistols. You can kind of see that for me wanting to purchase a Makarov. I love the history of Walther, and I am now wanting to add more into my collection. When researching, I also decided that the logical choice was the .22 long rifle. It's almost half the cost of the .380. Ammunition cost is super cheap. However, I just can't afford to pay range fee, gas, and then the ammo cost to shoot regularly. I have a good job and make a decent wage, but my wife is a full-time college student, so we are only on my income for the time being. I can also train at my family's land, which is further from the range, and not upset the anti-gun neighbors, because a .22 isn't that loud. The most reliable .22 long rifle rounds are half the cost of .380 or 9mm range ammunition. There are plenty of micro .380 and 9mm handguns now in the market, but again, the ammo cost. I could have gotten a Taurus PT-22 or a Beretta 22 for $200 or $400 respectively, and maybe in a few years I will acquire either of these. As of right now, I am very happy to own a piece of history. I like Walther because it's a Walther. With all this background information, I hope you can understand my journey so far in making the decision, and that being said, I will break down why I think the .22 long rifle is a good choice and should not be overlooked. I was able to have multiple range outings and shoot more than 50 rounds at a time. If I feed it CCI mini mags, which is like $8 for 100 rounds, it's perfect. If you are on a fixed income or live near or in poverty, this choice makes sense, especially if you are just looking to start out or just need something to throw in your pocket. Would even make a great backup or holdout gun. .22 long rifle and why it's a good choice for self-defense. Greg Ellifritz published a great article on buckeyefirearms.org covering some of the statistics. There will be a link down below, a brief look at these statistics. Ellifritz combined all of the .22 data, so this is .22 short, long, and long rifle. Using Ellifritz calculated data, we are looking at 154 people shot with 213 hits on target. 34% of the shots were fatal. The average number of rounds to incapacitate is 1.38. The number of people who were not incapacitated was 31%. The one-shot stop was 31%. The study even breaks down how accurate the shots were to the body from the shootings. The .22 displayed a 76% accuracy rating, which the shots to the head and torso. A real interesting takeaway is that the last statistic from this study, which is 60% incapacitated by a one shot to the head or torso. For fun, let's take a look at the .44 Magnum. From the same study, we have a total of 24 shot with 41 hits. 26% of the hits were fatal. The average rounds to incapacitate were 1.71. Yes, 1.71. The study, which goes on to show 13% of people who were not incapacitated. However, we have a 59% one-shot stop, which is nearly double the .22. Accuracy was at 88% head and torso shots, and an incapacitated shot to the head or torso at 53%. The article even goes on highlighting that shot placement is the key here. During research for this video, I discovered a good article written by Warren Gray at Gunpowder Magazine. I will leave a link down below. This article covered everything from history, philosophy, and testing, and provided a lot of great information and reading. Even if you're bored or on the fence, I encourage you to look at this article. Some of the key things I would like to pull from this article is in a human target, upper torso, you need about 10 to 15 inches of bullet penetration, with a minimum of 9 inches according to the FBI, and with 12 to 13 inches being the ideal range for reaching vital organs. During a ballistic gel test, Gray used a Walther P22 firing a CCI Stinger 32 grain hollow point. Achieved a penetration of 10.3 inches and expanded to a .27 caliber. During the clay block test, a temporary cavity of 2.75 inches wide, penetration 11 inches deep, and bullet expansion of .370 caliber. The article goes on into detail about various times that military and law enforcement have deployed the .22 long rifle and pistols, from everything to dispatching of animals such as dogs to silently assassinating humans adversaries. I am not saying that the CIA operatives only carry .22 handguns, but it is still an interesting read and pondering material on nonetheless. I was also fond of the mention of the .22 caliber Walther PPKs in this article for obvious reasons. On the World Wide Web, I found some interesting information on a website called Wikipedia. The .22 has a very interesting history. Let us get into our time machines and take a trip back to 1857. The .22 short and .22 long was America's first metallic cartridges, and the .22 short was designed for self-defense. Yes, you heard me, folks. The metallic cartridge was a rimfire, and it was black powder. It was designed for Smith & Wesson for their line of revolvers, and it was popular in Derringers too. We have the makings for a modern self-defense no-no, or the general rules that people like to avoid some of these firearms. No on rimfire cartridges, no on black powder, and of course, no on any .22. If it's good enough in 1857, it's probably still good enough today with modern rounds. I also found an interesting article on mouse guns, which cover things like the Baby Browning North American Arms Mini Revolvers and the Sea Camp. The article is Mouse Guns is a Dying Breed by B. Gil Horman on AmericanRifleman.org. I have 100% reliability with my Walther firing CCI mini-mags. I would like to try other CCI rounds later when I can test out more ammo. For now, the mini-mags are the way to go for me. I am now going to start wrapping this up here. I think that everybody that carries a firearm or wants to carry a firearm to give articles below a read. I think the .22 is a great choice for people on a budget. I can train with the gun I carry regularly, and it fits into my budget. Firearms are expensive, and I am not Donald Trump rich. I am top ramen and Little Caesars budget. For me, getting out every few weeks or months to train with my handgun, I can afford to punch holes in targets, and as well as I can go out to my family's land and train more with rapid fire or different distances or different targets than paying a fee every visit to the range and shoot in a static position. I have always wondered why the .22 long rifle was acceptable for geriatrics living on a $300 budget with disabilities, opposed to a regular middle-aged Joe. I know this video will not change the mind of some 290-pound jacked ex-special operations guy. Everybody wants to be that guy, but let's face reality, shall we? Most of you, likely, if you're watching this video, you've probably never been on a two-way firing lane. I have not. Your job is not to boot indoors and clear out guys that are in full body armor shooting at you with Ivan Surplus Kalashnikov. I think you are being dishonest with yourself if you need to have the biggest caliber and the biggest weapon, making yourself more uncomfortable for a situation you statistically will never be in. If for some reason you are in a gunfight, the first rule of a gunfight is to, well, have a gun. If you do find yourself here in a situation where you need to deploy your carry weapon and send rounds down to some bad guy, you should want to break contact or stop the threat. If I unload 10 rounds into a bad guy, statistically he should be incapacitated by 1.3 rounds. I think that this is the best option, is to be proficient with your weapon. If you're still here with me, thank you for sticking through and listening to me. I really appreciate it, and I want to say to shoot me a comment and tell me what you think of this video. If you disagree, then that is perfectly fine. As well, I am just happy that you gave this some thought. I am not trying to make everybody carry a mouse gun in .22, but just trying to open some eyes. Thank you for watching. Also, thank you for dealing with me reading off of a script and being, obviously scripty and nervous and whatnots. So, I really appreciate it. Thank you. Make sure to leave me a comment and tell me what you guys think and what your carry gun and ammunition, etc. is. Thank you. Hello, today I wanted to do something different on this channel. Primarily I do knife videos, But today I wanted to change it up and do something that I do not get into much on this channel. I'm wanting to make a firearm video discussing carrying the most underrated and humble of all calibers, the 22 long rifle for self-defense. I've asked many people their opinions and experiences with carrying the 22 LR handgun or pocket pistol. Almost all of it was negative for many reasons. You can guess why. I wanted to just try and highlight some of the points of why you could carry it and my reason for doing so. If you enjoy this change of pace on this video, let me know and I will continue to do this type of content. This video will be broken down to several parts. Part uno will be my journey and how I got here doing this video and carrying a 22 or